From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Today does mark the anniversary of the January 6 riots at the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. Just ahead, our Mike Dennison has a special report looking back at the event with Montana's U.S. senators and U.S. representative.
I'm Joe St. George here on Capitol Hill. It's been 1 year since the January 6th attack here in Washington. We take a closer look at not just what's changed in D.C., but what's changed in local and state governments around the country as officials take the threat of domestic terrorism more seriously.
6:31 on this continuing snow. It's just snowy week. I don't even know why I'm going to
snowy
I'm going to let
Wednesday,
you do all
Thursday,
of that because
Friday.
It's never not snowed this year since we've been together.
Wow, way to put that into perspective. Yeah, the very fine snow. We're still dealing with the cold air in place, and that's keeping that snow a little tighter, a little finer, but it's still very slick outside. I'm not seeing a lot of accidents. I just checked. Nothing here in southwest Montana of note reported to Montana Highway Patrol. But visibility is down. It will be slick, it will be slow, and we will have accidents. Again, you look at Bozeman Pass, visibility is down. We're seeing that snow on Homestake Pass. Gallatin Canyon is going to be rough today. Most of the snow is going to be packed into the first half of the day. The afternoon, the snow begins to break up a little bit, but it is going to be a little warmer, and that means that the snowflakes are going to be bigger and probably accumulate a little faster as a result, even with a slowdown in snow. Butte looks like the daytime temperatures back into the 30s by the afternoon. We're going to break it all down for you coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Matt. It is 6:33. The Bobcats have arrived in Frisco, Texas, along with MTN's crack crew. We've got Ashley Washburn, Tom Wiley there as well. Paul Humphrey making sure they all stay where they're supposed to be. Right now, Tom Wiley joining us. Tom, you've got a really interesting story coming out of this about the MSU Bobcats. I was a little surprised to see. Tell me about this. I love this.
Yeah, Chet. So, everyone knows about some of the playmakers on the Montana State Bobcats roster. Your Troy Andersons, your Tommy Malotts, your Amandre Williams. They come from all different places and walks of life, but there's only one guy on the entire roster who played six-man football in high school. And I'll tell you, his small hometown on the High Line is Bobcat crazy right now.
Listen closely, and you'll hear a sound ringing through the streets of Sunburst. These days, it's not uncommon to hear townsfolk break out into the Montana State Fight song at the local Mercantile.
We're here to win. This is dear Montana State.
The reason is simple. They have a rooting interest in this weekend's FCS national title game.
Go Trayton!
Sophomore tight end Trayton Pickering hails from this tiny town of 300. He's the only player on the Bobcat roster to play six-man football in high school.
I love telling the guys that I came from a school with 50 kids in it and a class of 4, and their reactions are just super funny and it's awesome.
In his hometown, he's a bit of a local celebrity. Just ask his grandpa, Lynn Ahrens.
He's the talk of the town along with the Cats. Everybody asks, how's he doing? They're all real proud of him up here. Everybody's happy to see him do good because he's a good kid. I mean, he's a stand-up guy. He's a team guy. He's a winner, and he's the first guy you'd want to have on your team.
And the folks in Sunburst don't just support from afar. They show up to games and make themselves known.
37 years since the last national championship appearance, and we got a local kid playing. It's so exciting. The amount of blue and gold that's being worn the High Line now. What I love is a kid will be asking for his autograph, and these kids, they really see a hero.
We got a skybox down there, and whenever Trayton makes a play, that whole box just erupts and yells Sunburst,
And it's made Trayton feel right at home as he improves on the field each and every week.
Fans from out the whole community in Sunburst are always coming down, messaging me, seeing if they can catch up after the game. It means the world to me. And then I also, for Christmas, I got a big card from the Sunburst High School, and they wrote good luck on the game, and a bunch of kids signed it. And that was pretty awesome to see the support from them. That was probably one of my cooler Christmas presents I've ever gotten.
Sunburst will have great representation for the FCS title game in Frisco, Texas. Trayton estimates there will be nearly 20 to 30 people making the trip, or roughly 10% of the town population, and he can't wait to show the world that with support, a small-town kid can make it anywhere.
I mean, I appreciate it more than they know. and that it doesn't really matter where you come from. There's always support, but especially from such small towns, you feel it in a different way. I mean, everybody knows your name. Everybody cares and loves you and hopes for your best. I love it a lot.
Good luck, Cats!
Yeah, further proof that Montana is really just one big, small town. And Trayton Pickering, not the only member of his family who played football. His grandpa, Lynn Ahrens, who you saw in that story, was drafted by the Chargers out of Eastern Montana College way back in the day, then played in the CFL for a number of years. So he's making the trip down. Fingers crossed, everyone making the trip to Frisco from Montana can make it without any delays. We got here, the Cats are here. We're excited for the FCS National Championship. From Frisco, Texas, Tom Wiley, MTN Sports. Chet, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Tom, thank you for sharing that great story. 10% of the town will be in Frisco. The other 90% will be glued to their TVs, I guarantee you, watching that game. Thank you. We're going to check in with Tom and Ashley Moore today and tomorrow from Frisco, Texas. Meantime, in national headlines, a year ago today, members of a pro-Trump crowd assaulted the U.S. Capitol, attacking police and attempting to halt the certification by Congress of Joe Biden's 2020 election as president. Members of Montana's 3-member congressional delegation were in Washington and at the Capitol on January 6th last year and spoke to MTN News this week about that day and what they think of the investigation into the riot and the police response. MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison has that story.
Democratic Senator Jon Tester was not in the Capitol at the time of the attack, but he was watching on TV as he worked on a speech he planned to give in support of certifying Biden's election.
When the rioters went up the steps, I started screaming at my staff, we've got to figure out a way to get those guys out of the Capitol, out of the chamber. Police were able to get them out safely and get them into another room away from the chamber, which I believe, was a feat of brilliance by the Capitol Police.
GOP Senator Steve Daines was in the Senate chamber and says he could hear the yelling going on outside by rioters and law enforcement.
It was a moment you never forget when we were quickly escorted out of the Senate chambers by protective forces and taken to a safe location.
All 3 members of the delegation, Tester, Daines, and Republican Representative Matt Rosendale, say they condemn the violence that occurred and that those who broke the law, particularly by assaulting law enforcement, should be held accountable. But when it comes to the post-riot investigations, they dramatically differ on party lines. Rosendale calls the current Democratic-led House investigation a partisan witch hunt and says it's time for the country to move on from January 6th and tackle issues like inflation, unconstitutional vaccine mandates, and what he calls surging crime and an invasion at the southern border. Daines also denounced the House investigation, saying it's intended as a political weapon to hurt Republicans in the 2022 elections. He said 2 Senate committees already conducted a bipartisan investigation this summer.
They released a 100-plus page report, made 20 recommendations. The Capitol Police Inspector General had 65 additional recommendations about what can be done to prevent what happened from ever happening again.
But the report didn't look at any root cause of the riot or the role of President Trump or the White House. And Republicans in the Senate, including Daines, blocked the creation of an independent bipartisan commission to investigate. Tester, a Democrat, says many unanswered questions remain about the insurrection.
I still don't know why the support for the police took so long to get here. I still don't know why why we were so outmanned, the police were so outmanned that day.
He also says he's troubled by many Republicans who continue to spread the lie that voter fraud likely occurred in the 2020 presidential election and using that to justify passing new voting restrictions.
I think we took a giant step backwards with a lot of state legislatures, Montana included, by taking away the ability, or at least making it tougher for a lot of folks in our state to be able to vote, because that long-term will further divide this country and further put our democracy at risk.
Daines had said before January 6 last year he would oppose certifying Biden's election, but after the Capitol riot, changed course. He told MTN News he applauds the voting security changes Montana Republicans made last year, such as creating stricter voter ID requirements.
We need to continue to ensure that states are putting measures in place like Montana has done with requiring voter ID to vote, because we need to make it harder to cheat and easier to vote.
Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Now, from President Biden's remarks to a moment of silence at the Capitol, lawmakers are pausing to reflect on that, the one-year anniversary of the January 6th attack at the U.S. Capitol. But how have security tactics changed in the past year, not just in D.C., but across the country? Our Joe St. George takes a look in depth.
January 6th, a solemn anniversary. Terms like insurrection, domestic terrorism, and riot have all been used to describe that day, which so far has led to more than 700 arrests. But how have the country's security tactics changed since then?
The United States Capitol Police is stronger and better prepared.
For one, the chief of police at the U.S. Capitol says his force is better funded and is planning for events better. Officers now have cell phones. Before, they relied on radios, which failed at times 1 year ago. Officers also receive intelligence briefings each day on their phones to better understand threats. Not to mention the Capitol Police can now request National Guard assistance on their own. Before, they needed approval from others. A $300 million upgrade to improve windows and cameras was approved by Congress as well. But it's not just the U.S. Capitol that has evolved over the course of the last year. Many state and local governments are changing too, taking the threat of domestic terrorism more seriously.
I definitely think that was a wake-up call.
Gary Lafree, who runs a national consortium for the study of terrorism, says more organizations are taking steps to address threats. Nearly 100 active duty members of the military participated in some form of extremism last year, according to the Pentagon. And now, new rules ban service members from retweeting or liking extreme posts. More than a dozen rioters were current or former police officers. In the state of Washington, a new law requires an extremism background check for new recruits.
Fighting domestic terrorism is much more like dealing with a virus.
In Colorado, the governor has requested $4.5 million to improve state capitol security. Michigan's governor, who was the subject of a kidnapping plot, already received prior to the January 6th attack a $1 million security upgrade at her home. But still, threats remain. New polling by the Washington Post finds 19% of Americans believe the January 6th attack was, quote, mostly peaceful, with 34% of the country believing violent action against the government is justified at times. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Wow, it's 2022, and we're talking about cell phones just now coming to the Capitol Police Department. Crazy. 6:43, we're going to take a break. When we come back,